Alright, I just wanted to give you guys some competitive content today. I'm going to be covering the Pokemon Perfect DPP OU Championship Series Quarterfinals against Lusix. This series it was pretty brief, but I still want to cover all of my battles for this series. Basically, over the course of the year, Pokemon Perfect has qualifier tours for this tournament, which is like the championship at the end of the tour over those who did the best in the qualifier tournaments. The winner of this gets $100. Anyways, starting off game one, I used a pretty well-known hyper offensive team made by XCal, because I noticed that Lusix's teams were generally pretty weak to Dragon Dance Gyarados and had like weak revenge killing counterplay. So, and I noticed that this team had Walk and Berry Gyarados, and that's why I wanted to use it. So, leading off, uh, I lead with Azelf as Lusix goes into Swampert, and then I get up Stealth Rock's turn one instead of taunting, which taunt is usually the better play objectively because your first priority is denying Stealth Rock. But I know that Lusix has an incredibly high usage of Choice Band Swampert lead, so I just wanted to get the rocks up as soon as possible rather than wasting a turn. I think this was actually a misplay. Generally, taunt is better here. Even if you know it's probably choice band, it's still not worth the risk that you get stealth rocks up with this team specifically, because it's got like Dragonite and or yeah, it's got like Dragonite and Gyarados, and there's like no rapid spin. But anyways, continuing on, turn two. Turn two, I use Thunder Wave, and like once again, this play does seem a little bit weird, but I actually do support. I actually stand by this one. Basically, the idea is a lot of these Swampert offenses tend to have like a Toxic Spikes Roserade in the back, as well as a Ghost to spin block, so you can't remove Toxic Spikes. So a lot of the time, people go into the Ghost type turn two here, and I was thunder waving there to prevent free switch into a ghost and a waste of my boom. But he just stayed in and waterfalled, which is ultimately fine for me because I have a Dragon Dance Gyarados, like I said. And I Dragon Dance up here, and like I said before the battle, um uh now that like Flygon is revealed, I can assume it's Scarf from the way he hearted into it. Traditionally, Flygon runs Thunder Punch in order to revenge kill Mega Gyarados, but with a Walk-in Berry attached, you actually live a Thunder Punch and then KO it back with Ice Fang. And the reason why I Ice Fanged here rather than Dragon Dancing a second time is because I wasn't sure if he had something else in the back to revenge kill this, or if the Swampert had enough bulk to live and like kill me with with like Ice Punch with off of Choice Band or something. So I'd rather just take the Thunder Punch here and take KO the Flygon with Ice Fang and move on about my day. Now the Swampert is gonna come back in, and I briefly pondered switching out into like a if a Metagross in the back. I briefly considered switching directly out to Metagross, but considering the fact that I have an Agility Metagross, getting the Waterfall chip on this is way better than switching out and saving a 39% Gyarados. So I just went for that Waterfall. Also, there's the chance that I could flinch it as well, but that's not really the why I made that play. And he actually goes for Stone Edge over Ice Punch. Maybe he thought that Choice Band Ice Punch didn't kill. My calcs indicated it would, but maybe he's not max attack or something. Anyways, versus the Swampert, I just Agility because I know it's Choice Band based off of the Waterfall damage on Azelf. And then I Agility here, and he goes into Roserade. I am Lumberry Metagross, so I actually Earthquake here for the guaranteed chip on the Roserade, and then I wake up from sleep. And then the next turn, I use Meteor Mash. And let me explain my reasoning here. Basically, in this position, looking at the team that Lusix has, There's probably Heatran back there, a Ghost, like I said before. I just think he didn't bring it out turn one or turn two or whatever, on because he was fearing like U-turn or something. But generally, I think there's probably a Heatran back there, probably a Ghost. Um, I don't know what else is back there, but like on the off chance there's something that like just like a Rotom maybe that like just barely lives a hit or just barely avoids the 2 KO from Meteor Mash. With the attack boost, I 2 KO it and then like take a Thunderbolt or something. And so I Meteor Mash to fish for the attack raise and also catch like an aggressive switch to Rotom or something. As that doesn't happen, and Lusix forfeits, which leads me to presume he doesn't have anything that can take a hit and kill this and do any damage back or hacks or anything. Like so, I think my Heatran guess is definitely correct, and I also think my what do you call it? My Ghost type guess. The fact that he forfeited there makes me think it's a Gengar rather than a Rotom, and I'm not 100% sure on the last, honestly. Um, but you know. It could be a couple things. It has to be a steel type, I think. Maybe Jirachi or something like that. Anyways, moving on to game two. This one's a bit longer, but it's got some interesting strategies here. Lusix leads with Jirachi, and I lead with Gyarados. Now, in the past, Thunderbolt Jirachi on in the lead slot with like a mix set was somewhat common, but now the most common lead set by far, especially now that Dugtrio is gone and U-turn isn't as good anymore, is Iron Head, Body Slam, Wish Protect, Impish. And so I just go for an Earthquake turn one straight up, as Lusix goes for a Body Slam to fish for a pair on Gyarados. And the damage from Choice Band Earthquake makes me know that this is like a defensive Jirachi. So he protects as I Earthquake again. And then turn three, I just continue earthquaking because physically defensive Jirachi is actually a really annoying issue for Breloom. And if he just sacks it there trying to make an aggressive read, it's fine. And with this team structure, most ground immunes that he would switch in here aren't enough of an issue to mandate me like over predicting for them. And then I go into Jirachi on the Dragon Dance Dragonite. And then here I figure that he doesn't want to risk Ice Punch, so he's gonna go back out to Jirachi or into like Magnezone or something. Or like something of that sort. So I double back out to Gyarados just to see what he does. And looking at the team so far, I think it's probably Scarf Magnezone with like Thunder Wave. Just because that's what these types of structures traditionally have. So I go straight into Breloom. Risking Thunderbolt Para was kind of cringe, but I didn't really have any particularly great Thunderbolt switch-ins on this team. So I think Breloom ended up being fine. If I got paired there, I probably would have lost the game. And then I Spore on the switch to Machamp, and I know that people have been using Rest Talk Machamp lately, so I don't want to like superpower into this and just get Dynamic Punch Sleep Talked out of the game. So I pivot back into Gyarados here as the Sleep Talk does come out, and he goes for Dynamic Punch. And I'm like sitting here thinking like, okay, worst case scenario, I hit myself in confusion here, and I don't get much mileage out of my Gyarados. Otherwise, I could potentially get like really good damage on the Machamp, or like suss out the Dragonite spread if he goes into it, or force him to reveal something else, you know? Like there's a lot of good things that can come out of waterfalling if I break through confusion. But I do hit myself as he rolls rest, then he switches the next turn as I hit myself again. I'm at 5%, but judging from how the Dragonite switched out on Jirachi last time, I can pretty safely assume that he fears Choice Scarf Ice Punch. or at least some sort of or at least he like can't touch Jirachi much. So I switch out of that Gyarados and keep it as a stack and go straight into Jirachi. I reveal that I'm leftovers, and then I go into Heatran here because either he's going to stay in if he's Lumberry and Dragon Dance, right? Which is like it's pretty bad if I go to Heatran, but I have a Scarf Latias in the back, and no one outrages Heatran, so I was thinking that I'd go into Heatran and then pivot to Latios. If he did Dragon Dance, it covers a double the Magnezone, and it also covers mono attacking Dragonite, which I did suspect when I saw this team because of like the general structure, but I didn't wanna like mono attacking Heal Bell specifically, because like that's something that's like pairs really well with Rest Talk Machamp. It also helps with like if Jirachi gets burnt, or if you trade Magnezone for a Magnezone T-Wave for paralysis on Jirachi, stuff like that. So I really thought that like Heatran would be able to counter this. He doubles out to Magnezone on Heatran. I Magma Storm the. Oh no, I don't Magma Storm yet. I Stealth Rock here because I want to limit that Dragonite, and then he goes into Blissey, and I go straight into Breloom because like either he's gonna like Thunder Wave or Seismic Toss there or Rocks. He goes into Dragonite here, and the reason why well actually the Machamp's still asleep, so I have no choice but to Superpower. And you see the leftovers there from the Dragonite, so that kind of confirms it's pretty bulky probably. I switch back out into Jirachi here. He roosts up, and then so then here, because I was like already suspecting that mono attacking Heal Bell set, I Toxic the Dragonite to see if it's Heal Bell. And and then I figure if he's Heal Bell, he's 100% clicking it here. So I do have a pretty free Iron Head, and if he's not, I've been doubling around a lot, so I don't think he's gonna go into Magnezone again and let it like get chipped with rocks up. So I just double I Iron Head. Admittedly, that play was kind of ill-advised. I should have gone into Heatran there, because it covered every conceivable switch he could make in that position, and it was a lot safer against Magnezone. But anyways, he heal bells, and I heal up the I go Heatran here because I know if I can trap this with Magma Storm, um, with rocks up, I can put it into a position where I explode, and it's at low enough HP that once it gets forced out by Latias, it can't do anything once it comes back in on rocks. I Magma Storm on the Blissey and continue switching straight to Breloom. I am Explosion on Heatran, but exploding the Dragonite is so incredibly important in this matchup that I can't afford to use it up on Blissey. And I go back into Breloom here on the Seismic Toss. And now Machamp is awake after the Heal Bell, but I don't want him to go like Machamp on Spore and then like Sleep Talk. So I click Seed Bomb here because I figure if I Seed Bomb on the switch to Dragonite, since it's a bulky set, I can afford to just stay in and Spore because I am actually reasonably fast. Um, I think it's like a reasonably fast Breloom. I figure like Seed Bomb means I don't get the defense drop from Superpower, so I can Spore the Dragonite if need be. And it also ended up catching this really aggressive Starmie double. And then seeing the damage from Seed Bomb plus the healing with leftovers, I kind of sussed out that he didn't have Ice Beam and clicked Seed Bomb again. Admittedly, Superpower was probably better there, but I didn't want to like Superpower into Recover and look like a fool. I switch out to Heatran on this Jirachi. He protects there, and then I make a pretty dumb move of Magma Storming into a Protect. The reason why this is dumb is because Magma Storm PP is at a premium here. I absolutely want to Magma Storm Dragonite to guarantee that my explosion will hit the Dragonite, not something else. So I should have just Earth Powered into the Protect there. And I double into Breloom here because I know Blissey's coming out, and like Magma Storming again isn't getting me much leverage. And so I do the same thing I did last time, except I superpower here on the switch, because if he goes into Dragonite there, I know I can just go into Heatran and do the same thing again, because I get 1 round of leftovers from switching into rocks, and then 1 on the turn Dragonite switches out, so Heatran never takes net damage from rocks, so I can continue looping the sequence. And then he goes into Machamp, and he takes 60 from superpower. I like calced this out, and max HP's minimum roll from Breloom in this position is like 40.1% at -1. So this like definitely wasn't a roll, so I just superpowered here, and that ended up taking out the Machamp. At this point it's looking really good because I can start using Spore with Breloom, and he goes into Magnezone here, and I go into Gyarados. I actually going into Gyarados was honestly a misplay there. I should have just spored at that point, because I have a Dragon Dance Gyarados or Dragon Dance Tyranitar in the back, and basically any time that thing sets up, this game ends. And I should have recognized that earlier, but I end up going Heatran here. Well, Heatran here was correct. I mean, sacking Gyarados over clicking Spore there to try and sack the Breloom to Magnezone was what the silly part. I Earth Power the Jirachi Protect like I should have the first time. And then I think here I Magma Storm the switch. Or no, I Earth Power the switch to Blissey. And then Blissey probably recovers as I go into Breloom or Soft Boileds. And here I get to guarantee I put something to sleep. Like if he goes into Jirachi, I can hard into T-Tar from that position, or if he goes into Starmie, I mean, I can hard into T-Tar, because if he goes Dragonite on T-Tar, which is like Dragonite's his best switch into Breloom if something is asleep. So if he goes Dragonite as I switch into T-Tar, I can Dragon Dance on it, live a +1 Dragon Claw if he Dragon Dances himself, KO with Ice Punch and Sweep. And then I superpower here on the sleeping Jirachi just to force this Dragonite to roost again so that Heatran gets free entry. And then here I always Magma Storm on this Dragonite in this position, and I hit this one as he Dragon Dances, and he's probably gonna roost here because he knows the explosion is coming out. But at this point it doesn't really matter because his Starmie isn't ever getting a chance to spin ever again. And I go into Latias here, and I Draco Meteor into the Magnezone. And that does a lot. I go into Breloom on the Magnezone as he predicts the switch in HP fires. And then I stay in here. I was actually trying to sack Breloom here because, like I said, I have a Dragon Dance Tyranitar in the back. So I really just want to get that in and sweep. And so I just superpower here. And it ends up working out really well because he just goes into Blissey like that. And then he goes into Dragonite, and I think the main reason he was doing this play is just because he wanted to hope I didn't have like have Mach Punch for some reason. And I did, so that ended up taking out the Dragonite. As he goes into Magnezone again, as I just stay in and let it kill me, because I don't want to like crit it and then like lose a chance to set up with Tyranitar, which is really incredibly good at this point. And as I Dragon Dance, as he goes into Starmie, I Ice Punch it and the game ends because Earthquake takes out the last two in one hit. And that's my series. I think I was a beneficiary of like a pretty good team matchup in both of these games. And I did make some risky plays, but overall I'm pretty happy with how I played this set. And I hope to bring you guys the rest of my games in this tournament in the future. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.